Welcome to Fantasy Filmball. My name is Dyl, and it's no secret, 2025 has been off to a really weird start for film. From the chicken jockey meme dominating the box office, Steven Soderbergh cooking up with two insanely original bangers, and then just a lot of movies that are fine, but not super memorable, 2025 has been off to a very, very rough start, at least in my opinion. But nearly after 4 months, 30 movies logged on LETTERBOXD, the cinematic slate has been risen from the dead to offer the best cinematic experience of the year so far, and let me tell you all about it. From Ryan Coogler, director of Black Panther and Creed, and starring Michael B. Jordan, comes a new vision of fear. Sinners. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. And one thing I haven't really had the chance to really rave about on this channel is the fact that Ryan Coogler is honestly one of my favorite working directors right now. I mean, the man just did a whole breakdown of Kodak, talking about aspect ratios, film, and the theatrical experience, which if you have not watched it yet, I would highly suggest that you go out there and seek it out. But the way that Coogler consistently elevates these blockbuster franchises while injecting them with his own distinctive creative voice is something that's genuinely rare nowadays in film. Black Panther and Creed weren't just great studio films, they were some of my absolute favorite movies of their respective years, filled with their spectacle from their respective franchises, while also bursting at the seams with Coogler's unique flair. And at least for me, you can track all this back to his directorial debut, Fruitvale Station, and you can see the blueprint. While Fruitvale is not this giant spectacle, it is an emotionally charged, beautifully original piece of filmmaking that hits hard but never feels manufactured. I find that this film does a tremendous job at building character, tension, love, and compassion in such a tight runtime. Now with his newest film, Sinners, I truly think we're seeing Coogler at the peak of his powers. It's hands down my favorite film in his entire filmography so far. It blends this grand spectacle and pulse of his franchise work with the grounded emotion and originality that made Fruitvale so special. It's the best of both worlds, high concept as well as being deeply human. And I'll go one step further. Sinners is without a doubt the best thing I've seen since Challengers, which if you're new here to the channel was my favorite movie of 2024, which I raved top to bottom all year long. So go check out our top 10 list last year if you want to hear me gush over Challengers. But let's come back to Sinners here, because this movie, it's just a feast for the senses. From the first frame, the luscious cinematography pulls you in and it never lets go. It's that kind of visual storytelling that you can truly just sink your teeth into. And when you pair that with the blood-pumping, soul-stirring score by Ludwig Göransson, it's just pure magic. His music here isn't just the background. Going back to that Challengers comparison from earlier, Sinners is a movie that gets its beating heart from its music. Göransson got his start in the musical world working with Donald Glover and other hip-hop artists, remixing and sampling iconic sounds of the past, and the narrative framework of Sinners builds upon this, heavily emphasizing the power of music. It goes even further, diving into the effects it has on the culture and using these remixing sounds to guide you through this hell of a night. It reminds me of that same magneticism of his Oppenheimer score from a few years ago, but here inside of Sinners, it's present in almost every minute, guiding you through every emotion while not directing or deterring you from the film's themes. But what I find so impressive is how seamlessly this score complements Coogler's bold, dynamic direction. Because Ryan Coogler recently gave an interview with Deadline, where he opened up about feeling like he was caged in during his franchise work, adding personal touches, but at the end of the day, still making Creed for Sylvester Stallone or Black Panther for the Marvel franchise machine. That Sinners is a very exciting project for him to tackle because it's his first truly original piece of film in his career, adding, "I still haven't brought something that was just me." And how funny is it that when I say, hey, I'm making a horror movie, people are surprised, because if you know me, I love those movies. And I had to reckon with the fact that audiences don't truly know me. And I got scared that I would look up and be 50 and would still be in that same situation. By then, I might not have anything to say. So this movie was made because I had to make it right now, and with the people I wanted to make it with. It had to happen now. Or if not now, it wouldn't. I feared that. That originality I was talking about from that franchise fair from before, It accomplishes what Coogler sought out to fully do, having his own voice heard here inside of Sinners, and an original story that tackles what it feels like to be a part of a community, how someone can take advantage and use their ideals to indoctrinate those around them, while at the same time, Sinners reimagines an age-old tale with stunning precision and flair. Another aspect I love about Sinners is the fact that the cast delivers on all fronts, and I have neglected to mention that this is yet again another collab of Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, because Jordan previously gave his best performance to date in the lead of Fruitvale Station, a star-making turn as Adonis Creed, and as one of the MCU's best villains in Coogler's 2 Black Panther films. But here inside of Sinners, Michael B. Jordan is on another level, giving my new favorite performance from the actor. Already one of the most charismatic men in all of Hollywood, he brings this magnetic energy to these twins, Smoke and Stack. He plays these two very different roles, and he gets to showcase so many different abilities inside of this movie. As one of these twins, he gets to showcase his humor, his physical comedy, and also the kids' favorite word, Riz, while his other version is so valiant and exhibits all these leading man qualities and bravado that we've come to know from Michael B. Jordan in a lot of his action flair work. And I would say, even if you're not a fan of horror films or of action films and they don't really interest you, I think that Michael B. Jordan's performance alone is worth the price of admission. And then we have Delroy Lindo. His comedic timing is so on point, and you'll find that some of this film's best laughs come from his character. He had my press screening hooting and hollering all throughout the runtime. And then to add to that, we have a brand newcomer, Miles Caden, and he's got a true scene-stealing performance inside of this movie. This man can act, this man can sing, and this man can manage your attention every time he's on screen. This is the definition of a serious breakout performance in his on-screen debut, and I cannot wait to see where he goes inside the future. And I know I said I don't want to dive into full spoilers. I'm not going to do that, but there are a few specific moments that I really adore and I do want to talk about a little bit here. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to hear about my Oscar prospects, check the description down below. You'll see a timestamp and rejoin me here in about a minute or two. But for those who have seen the movie or want to hear about these moments before going in, the first one is the ultimate highlight of the movie for me is that Preacher Boy one-take musical number. I don't know if it was an invisible one take or a real one take, but the craftsmanship that went inside that scene is so phenomenal. It's not just the singing, it's not just the dancing, it's not just the camera movement, but it's also the thematic resonance of this moment and how pivotal it is for Sammy's journey inside this film and overall the messaging of Sinners. I just love this moment. I cannot wait to re-engage with the sequence upon my next viewing. I also want to talk about the electric chemistry across this ensemble because while Sinners is an amazing film from top to bottom, I think it's elevated by its cast, whether it's Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo, Haley Steinfeld, or anyone in this cast. They're all so great. And the last thing, it's the final nail in the coffin that makes this movie just a perfect film for me, at least in terms of a cinematic experience, is that aspect ratio shifting action set piece. That's just a can't miss cinematic event. So we are an Oscars channel at the end of the day, so why don't we dive into just the Sinners Oscar prospects? The first thing I want to say is Warner Brothers. They always get one movie in. We recently did our 2026 Oscar First Look Best Picture episode. We had graphics. We showed that, hey, in the last 8 years, Warner has at least gotten one movie in per year. Some movies, they've gotten in two. So let's look at what Warner Brothers has this year. They had Mickey 17. That's came. That's gone. It's not an awards player. Not even for text. Not even for crafts. Then we have Sinners. Seemingly so. Everyone is so high on this movie. I love this movie. I would love to see this film be their main push this award season. But they also have coming out later this year, One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson film. This is currently the film that most people are projecting and predicting to be Warner's big awards player this year, and it makes sense. PTA, Leo, action comedy, it checks off so many boxes. But the biggest thing I think working against that film is going to be, one, the public's reception, and two, the box office returns. They gave PTA this huge budget. If he turns out a great movie, just one that doesn't connect with audiences at large, we've seen Warner just drop films that are supposed to be huge awards players in the past. Maybe they do it again this year, but it's not something I'm currently projecting at this moment. I think there's a few routes Sinners can go this award season. I think the most likely one is to follow the trajectory of another very early Warner Brothers release. That one also stars a bat, oddly enough, and it's The Batman. This one was never a player for picture, director, actor, screenplay, anything like that, but it was in the cards for multiple tech nominations. It got 3 or 4, and it was probably the first one out in another category or 2, and that could totally be the route Sinners goes down. That's also the flip side of Sinners kind of playing out like Jordan Peele's Nope from a few years ago. It's solely just a box office thing. It's not much of an awards contender. While Nope did get some love from critics groups, it got some love from some guilds, it didn't crack in for the Academy, not even in visual effects, not even in sound, not even for cinematography, things that it was dominating during the critical circuit. And then I guess the other outcome would be, I know a lot of people are comparing like Get Out there, but I think a good parallel to this could just be something like The Substance from last year, where the film is just so strong in a specific category and it is such a talking point and a centerpiece of discussion, and people do go out to see it in terms of its box office and its budget. I think it could connect that way. The biggest hurdle I think for Sinners right now is 1, the genre of it all, 2, its above the line prospects, and 3, just the priorities in the totem pole of Warner Brothers this year for awards season. So what nominations could I see Sinners ultimately getting at the end of the day? I definitely think the most likely ones here are score for Ludwig Göransson, I think sound, I think these 2, and song. These 3 are the 3 most likely. I'm not going to say locked because nothing's a lock this far in advance, and even with a film that's not in the best picture conversation, nothing truly can be a lock. But as I said before, the music of Sinners is the heart, it's the soul of the movie. And while yes, we know that Wicked has original songs coming, so song may not win, I could see a lot of push to at least get this a nomination. And then we've seen song score combos in the past. Ludwig Göransson is a 2-time previous winner, and this is some really showy work and doing stuff that we haven't really seen him do before. And then the sound of it all too. Those are the 3 I feel the best about. If we want to expand that out a little bit more, this visual effects and makeup and hairstyling, I don't want to go too much into the movie's plot and what's it about, but there is a lot of work. It's just how much of that is visual effects and how much of it is makeup and hairstyling. Whatever one it's more towards is the one I could see being more likely for a nomination if this film hits and gets those additional 4 or 5 nominations across the board. Cinematography, it's shot on 70mm. There's always going to be a discussion to have there. It could be something like Maria last year, where the beauty of it all and the formats it was in is enough to get the nomination. Just Ed Lachman shot that one. He didn't shoot this one. And I guess the big questions now are, hey, if Sinners does become Warner Brothers' top push and it is in the cards for Best Picture, can it pull in above the line nominations, original screenplay, Michael B. Jordan, or director? And those are the ones I see a harder path towards. But like, again, if it is something like The Substance, where it is just so strong, it's such a cultural movement and it has so much discussion around it, I could see a narrative form for Coogler, maybe not in director, but more so for screenplay. And I really do think the sky is the limit for this movie. It all comes down to, and this is so stinky to say because we don't really know yet, and it's unfair how award season really works out that way, but it really does come down to the performance of one battle after another. If that movie is an all-around player, Sinners is kind of left out for dust, while if one battle after another is a little bit more weaker responded to, we could see Sinners emerge as a contender throughout the season. And I mean, like, hey, The Batman, it still got 3 or 4 nominations, and that was the year of Elvis that got 10, so these 2 films can coexist. I don't think Sinners is going to end up like Nope and Blank at the end of the day. I think it feels really good for at least one of those 3 audio categories. How much more, it really depends on the play out the rest of the season. With all that being said, we've reached the end of this Sinners review and Oscar prospects. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I hope that you have a lot of fun too. If you've seen it, let me know down below your thoughts on the film, if you loved it, if you hated it, what Oscar prospects would you give it? And then also, please kindly consider dropping a like and a subscription. It keeps you involved with what we're doing here on the channel. We have a lot coming up. Matt is heading to the Cannes Film Festival. It is going to be giving you an in-depth coverage of the festival at large, as well as continue Oscar predictions from both Matt and myself. And I will have our 2025 summer box office prediction video come out very soon in the next few weeks. But Sinners, this was such a thrilling ride of a film, and I seriously cannot wait to watch it again when it officially hits theaters this Friday. Go out, get your tickets. You do not want to miss this one. But until next time, my name's Dyl, and this has been Fantasy Filmball. Peace.